What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to talk about a few secrets about 1911s. We're going to go over a few controversial things that are my opinion, but my opinion is based on a lot of rounds. If you are familiar with the channel, you know that I've done somewhere in the area of 50 1911 reviews, and I probably shoot about 20 to 30,000 rounds of ammunition per year through 1911 pistols. So I've got some experience in the field is all I'm trying to say. Some of these opinions are going to be controversial, but they are steeped in fact and what I've seen over the years, not only shooting them myself, but with many other people, including training a lot of new shooters. Now, before we get into this video, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of you we have some of these beautiful 1911s on the table, and we really appreciate you. If you want to support the channel, just go to the link in the description below and sign up. Also in that description, as always, is a link to the YSS, which is a youth shelter in Ames, Iowa. And if you want to do a good thing today, I'd really appreciate if you would go down to the link in this description and all of my videos and donate a couple bucks to those kids. The link will bring you right to the donate page.
Hey guys, Lorraine here. Real quick, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, the Sonoran Desert Institute. The Sonoran Desert Institute is an online accredited college where you can get an associate's degree or certificate in a gun-related field. Whether your dream is to be your own boss and own your own business, or you're interested in working for an amazing gun company, the Sonoran Desert Institute is a great place to start. Make sure you go down to the link in the description below so that you can learn how you can jumpstart your career in the firearms industry.
With that being said, let's get right into it with the first one, and I don't think this is super controversial, but we're going to talk about the control set of the 1911. Now, one thing nobody talks about is how you actually sort of have to change the way that you shoot if you're a striker fired guy to get into a 1911. A lot of people talk about the pros, and there are many. I can't stress enough how much I love this gun. The 1911 is my favorite firearm platform, so when I talk about some of the negatives, it's coming from a place of love, and there's no firearm that's perfect, although this one's close. Now, when we get into the controls, you'll see that there's some different controls on this because it is a single action only pistol. Now, what that means is if we pull the trigger, nothing happens. We have to manually put the hammer back, or we have to rack the slide. And that's the only way this pistol is going to work. It's not double action, it's not striker fired. You are going to have the hammer engaged. Now, along with that hammer, you're going to have to remember that, you are going to have to remember the manual safety and the grip safety. Now, one thing nobody really tells you about manual safeties and grip safeties is how to use them. It seems sort of intuitive, but it's kind of not from all of the people that I've actually seen use 1911s. Even people who are firearm experts and have thousands of rounds on Glocks and Smiths and things like that have a tendency to fuck up the 1911. It can be a little bit of a learning curve. So first thing we're going to talk about is how you run the manual safety itself. It's comfortable to run the gun down here, but it's not ideal. And the reason for that is when you sweep off the safety, when you're firing under recoil, you can put that safety back on. That's not good. So what we want to do is we want to bring our thumb all the way up, even though it's a little less comfortable. And that gives us more room for our support hand anyway, which is supposed to give you the most recoil control. You're not supposed to be squeezing to death. Along with riding that safety and pressing down, you're getting a recoil control device. What happens then is if you don't have a pad on your grip safety, oftentimes you can lax a little bit of your grip. So you want to not have a super heavy grip, but you don't want to have a super light grip with your right hand either, because if you lax that grip safety too much, that trigger won't work. You have to make sure to push the palm of your right hand in enough to activate the grip safety, but not so much to where it's uncomfortable when you ride the manual safety. That's a kind of a nuanced part of your grip on a 1911 that I've just never heard anybody else really talk about, but it is really important if you want to shoot it super fast. And make sure that the safety goes off when you want it to and stays off when you need it to. Because of that, it sort of makes it a bit of an expert's gun, and you're really going to have to train with it. Now, there's a lot of benefits to that. You get the awesome single action trigger that you wouldn't get without the mechanism, and that single action straight back trigger is in fact why people love the 1911 in the first place. It increases rate of fire, and it makes it a lot easier to get accurate shots, but you are again going to have to adjust your grip a little bit. Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is going to be a little more controversial than that. A lot of 1911s are not actually drop safe. Now, a lot of the reason for that is how the system works itself, but especially the 1911s, which are very customized like the Nighthawk. Now, if you're a fan of Grand Thumb, you can go over and watch his drop safe video. He actually dropped an XC and a Nighthawk Sandhawk, which are two of my favorite pistols of all time. The reason why I love these pistols is because you get this amazing 3.5 pound crisp trigger, but because of that same trigger mechanism that gives you that amazing trigger, it actually makes these guns theoretically less drop safe than a regular handgun, especially if you drop it a very particular way, which seems to be on the nose. Now, I'm no expert in this field, and personally, I've never had a 1911 or a 2011 go off when I didn't want it to. I've also never dropped one really hard while it's loaded because, well, they're $4,500 pistols, and I don't have grand thumb cash. That being said, if you go off his test and several other people's tests, you can see that especially the high-end custom ones, the ones that you really want because they shoot super fast and accurate, have a tendency to go off. If the manual safety is off and they're dropped on the nose, they can fire. So just don't be dropping your guns, have a little extra protection, tighten that holster a little bit in USPSA, and you're gonna be just fine. And if you do want a drop safe 1911, you actually can get one of those. You just have to get a Series 80 gun like this. This is the new Staccato HD 4.5, and these guns are absolutely drop safe, and they have pretty close to the same great trigger as you can get on a custom 1911. So if that drop safe issue bothers you at all, just know that there are models out there that don't have that issue. Now, you do sacrifice a little bit of trigger weight for the drop safety, but if it's a problem for you, especially if you're running a duty gun or something like that, the P45 is here for you. Personally, it's not an issue that's been a big deal. These guns have been around, I think, 115 years now, and I've honestly never seen one that went off without actually putting a primer in there and dropping it on purpose. If it was a big deal, you'd have heard about it before you just did. That being said, I don't hear very many people talk about it, so it's on the list. Now, number 3 is another controversial opinion, and it is just my opinion, but I feel like the 1911 needs more lubricant than almost every other firearm that I use. Now, I heard a lot of people talk about the cleaning aspect of the 1911, but not the lubricant, which I actually think is gonna be more important. You can get away with cleaning your gun a little bit less as long as she's wet. She likes it wet. And the 1911, you literally should lubricate probably every time you go to the range, at least a little bit. Put a little bit on the rails, put a little bit on the top of the chamber, and it'll do you good. It takes 2 seconds. It takes like maybe 5 cents of lubricant, and it's going to save you a lot of trouble. 1911s, especially expensive ones like this Wilson Combat or this Nighthawk, they are made to such specific standards, and the fit and finish on these is so high quality, there's just very little room for error. Adding a little lubricant to make sure those ultra fit, ultra tight parts are going to run smoothly is a really, really good idea. And in all fairness, there's no better gun to shoot. There's no smoother action on a handgun than a nice lubricated 1911, so it's going to make you feel good anyway. But just remember, I actually use Slip 2000, and when we do shoot these 2011 pistols like this, when you see me out on the range, I lubricate these at least once every 500 rounds. I usually clean them about once every 2,000, which is probably a lot higher round count than most people. Sometimes with a Nighthawk or an Atlas or maybe even a Terran Tactical, you can push that to 4,000, 5,000, as long as you keep using lubricant and you give it a little rub down every once in a while. But it's not a Glock and it's not an M&P. You know, for all the 1911 pros, certainly one of the cons is that it requires a little bit more maintenance on the cleaning side, but definitely on the lubrication side. I mean, you can run an M&P for 2, 3, 4, 5,000 rounds with no lubricant, and as long as you're using high quality 124 grain ammo, you're not going to have any problems. You will not get that with the 1911. Number 4, the cheap ones kind of suck. Let's be honest. If you're going to get into a cheap 1911, you might be better off just getting a striker fired gun. Now again, that's coming from the guy whose favorite gun is the 1911. If your options are a used Glock 34 or maybe a new M&P or a new CZP-10C or this Girsan 9mm 1911, I would 100% all day and twice on Sunday go for the striker fired guns. To be completely honest with you, if you want to get a good 1911 or 2011 pistol, you're probably going to pay about $1,500 or higher. There's almost no way to get around it. And I feel like any of the guns less than that in that price point are almost not worth it. You know, you're better off saving up or just buying a completely different gun. And that may sound shitty, but it is what it is. You're going to have reliability issues. You're going to have a heavier trigger than you would on something like a striker fired gun. And you're just going to lose really all the pros of speed and accuracy that you're looking for in the 1911. The reason why you buy the 1911, you put up with the safety, you put up with the grip safety, and in some cases the single stack magazine capacity. The reason why you put up with all that is for that amazing trigger, that amazing recoil impulse. And you're going to get guns that are sprung like shit and that have really terrible 8-9 pound triggers with guns under $1,000. That's just going to be the way it is. Now maybe you can get away with it here and there with the Springfield single stack, but especially if you're talking about double stack 2011 pistols, there's just really no double stack 1911 pistol that I would recommend for less than $1,200. I mean, the Apollo is okay, but you really should be better off with something else. For $1,000, you can get the Apollo, or you can get a CZ Shadow 2, which is a lot better. better. So if you're gonna get a 1911, you might be better off saving up for over a long period of time, maybe getting a striker-fired gun and a bunch of ammo, or maybe getting a good double action gun like a P07 or P09. Probably gonna be better off with that if you only are willing to spend $1,000. But maybe take your time, save up over time, get the fucking big change jar out, and then start out with maybe a Staccato. That way you can keep it your whole life. Or maybe a Bull Armory, which is a really good example of a moderately priced 1911, which is gonna be not only excellent, they're gonna have great triggers, gonna be reliable, but they'll last you the rest of your life. It's better to pay $1,500 for a great gun than $1,000 for a gun you're gonna be really disappointed with. Particularly the Girsan pistols, especially the 2011, the double stack was a real piece of crap. And for like $800, you can buy some really, really good guns. You can get the Archon Type B for that, and that's a way better gun. Now the last thing, and arguably the most controversial, especially if you are a 1911 purist, is gonna be they're better in 9mm. That's gonna cause so much shit, but the reality is they're better in 9mm. I have several 45s, but I've sold maybe about half of them, and now I have somewhere around 3 dozen 9mm. The reason for that, they're more affordable, they're also easier to shoot because they're lower recoil, and they hold more capacity in the magazine. Now that's true for 45 ACP and 9mm as a whole, but that's sort of why 45 ACP is getting phased out over the last 2 decades or so. It used to be, even a decade ago, you could rarely find a good 1911 in 9mm. Now you can rarely find one in 45 if you go to a gun store. And that, again, ease of use, affordability, and low recoil. Honestly, a 1911 in 9mm is the most fun gun in the world. Last one.
Got it.
They're the fastest shooting gun, so why not have them in an even faster caliber than 45? That's my personal opinion. I think they're more fun, and I shoot them a lot better, and everybody I've brought on the range actually shoots them better as well. And if shot placement really is king, if there's no replacement for shot placement, then the 9mm simply is better than 45. 45 is a good caliber. Don't get me wrong, 2 world wars, shot down a plane, I get it. But more capacity and better shootability is just better for me personally, and I think it's probably better for most of you. To be completely honest, the 1911s I have in 9mm are also the most reliable 1911s I have. Now, it used to be back in the day, it was hard to find a good 9mm 1911 that's reliable, but they've changed not only the single stack magazines with the new Wilson Combat 9 and 10 rounders that came out about a decade ago that sort of changed the single stack game, but they also have a plethora of new double stack 9mm magazines. As a matter of fact, I don't remember the last time I saw a double stack 1911 in 45 9mm so popular. With the new Staccato magazines, the Atlas magazines, and now the new Terran mags, where you don't even have to sacrifice a few rounds to get slide lock, the 9mm has truly taken over. Now the last thing, and a bonus one, let's call it a number 6, is going to be they're a wonderful investment. Arguably better than almost anything you can purchase. If you're looking at a new car, it's gonna depreciate in value. Gonna get groceries, you're just gonna fucking eat them. But if you buy a 1911, a good high quality one like this Wilson Combat, I picked this up for $2,700 about what, 8 years ago now, 9 years ago, something like that. And it's already worth $1,000 more than that used. These guns appreciate in value over time, especially really rare ones like this Nighthawk Sandhawk. I know this is an expensive gun, but it's sort of like buying a 67 Camaro or maybe a 69 GTO, something like that. You are going to pay a lot initially, but all that car is going to do is appreciate in value over time. It's going to be fun to drive. You're going to be able to look at it. You're going to be able to see it in your gun safe and smile. And on top of that, someday you can give it to your kid, and maybe you bought this for $5 grand, which is a shitload of money, but maybe 30 or 40 years from now, when you finally kick the bucket and your wife sells your gun collection, maybe she gets 10 or even 20 grand out of it. So it's a good investment, and it's certainly a good excuse to tell your wife when you buy them. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please stop by our local Homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. Don't fucking tell her that jewels are also a good investment, or you'll be in real trouble. You can't shoot jewels. You can't throw, well, you could throw them at him if a burglar came in, but he would just expect you to throw more. You throw a few bullets at him, he'll go away.